Welcome to another lecture on fluid mechanics. Today we'll discuss about the fluid statics, the fundamentals of fluid statics, the definition of a property called pressure, how this pressure is estimated, what about the variation of pressure, etc. Fluid statics, pressure. So in the previous lectures we have seen the fluid mechanics broadly divided into two. One is fluid statics, other one is fluid kinematics. So kinematics essentially deals with the behavior of fluids in motion, its velocity, acceleration, etc. And also we have fluid dynamics as one of the parts of fluid kinematics that deals with the forces causing the motion. So statics means fluid at rest. That means fluid is stationary. That means what? There is no relative motion between the layers of the fluids. Okay, so molecules are vibrating at its mass centers, but we have seen while discussing about the viscosity, the different layers of the fluid are moving. So we approximate fluid to be composed of different layers. So here also we can have layers of the fluid but not moving. There is no relative motion. So even though it is a viscous fluid, since there is no relative motion, there is no viscous resistance. Okay, so there is no shear stress induced. That is written over there. Shear stress, no, zero shear stress. So zero shear stress means what? Let us see. So here this is one of the simple example of fluid at rest or a static fluid. You see that air on the top of water that is contained in a cylinder. Okay, the level of water is also shown. So there is a point P shown, which is at a depth small h from the top surface of the liquid. So this h is having importance in fluid statics. We will discuss later. Now this fluid is at rest. That means that it is not moving. But so for the analysis, we consider the term fluid element. So this is nothing but our more or less related to our macroscopic concept, that is fluid continuum, that is continuous distribution of matter on which only properties are defined. So the entire analysis of fluid statics is with respect to a fluid element, a macroscopic fluid element. We take approximate shape for the fluid element and we do the analysis there. And now, so before venturing into more on the fluid element analysis, we see what are the forces which are acting on a static fluid. So if you take a point P here, you see what are the forces which are acting on that point P, or what is the total amount of force acting on this fluid element. If you take a fluid element here, this fluid element. So two types of forces we discuss. One is body force, other one is surface force. As the name indicates, body force means what? It is distributed entirely into the body. That means it is proportional to the weight of the body. Sorry, it is proportional to the mass of the body. Best example is weight. Okay, magnetic force, that is another example. So this weight is, as we know, acting vertically down. The second one is more important to us, that is surface force. Due to an external element, that is what I told. If we consider this P as a small fluid element, so it is subject to an external force of another fluid element that is in contact with the fluid element P. Okay, so the fluid is composed of several elements. So this each element is exerting a surface force on the contacting element there. So if you take the surface of this vessel, you see this fluid is exerting a surface force on the surface of this vessel. So this is due to an external element on the surface. Normal force and shear force are the examples of surface force. So normal force we know, that is normal to the cross section of the body, as we have seen in applied mechanics. Shear force also we have discussed while discussing about the fluid friction. Here, since the layers of the fluid is at rest, or the fluid itself is stationary, there is no occurrence of shear stress or shear force. The only surface force acting is normal force. So normal force means what? Normal to the area, normal to the surface. Okay, so you have only two forces. One is body force, essentially that is weight. The other one is the surface force, that is normal compressive force per unit area, that is called pressure. So that is the definition of pressure. So if you take a fluid element, how do we define pressure on the fluid element? So you can give an approximate shape for the fluid element, maybe a tetrahedron, maybe a cube. Even you can take a 2D element like a triangle or a square, etc. So irrespective of the shape that you adopt for the analysis, the pressure is the force acting normal to the particular area or normal to the surface divided by the area of the surface. We will discuss more on this. See, so each fluid element is subjected to pressure. So pressure is not stress, it is compressive stress or normal compressive force per unit area. Okay, now we will consider a fluid element. So this is a three-dimensional fluid element. You see this? How many faces that fluid element has got? It has got 6 faces. So x-axis you can see. Similarly, y-axis as well as z-axis. So 6 faces you can see. Normal force per unit area, that is pressure acting, Px. Here it is Px plus dx because it is at a, it's along x-axis. Similarly, Py is acting here. Suppose on this face it is Py plus dy. Similarly, Pz on the back face and Pz plus dz on the front face along z direction. Okay, so weight is not shown here. So weight is acting vertically down in the y direction. Okay, see, what about the forces on x as well as z directions? That cancels off, you know, because if you take equilibrium, sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, sigma fz equal to 0. We have studied engineering mechanics. So what is the force on x-axis? Pressure force on the left hand side as well as pressure force on the right hand side. How to get the pressure force? Px plus dx in the area of this face. Here also, what is the force, pressure force on the y-axis, on the right hand direction? Px into this axis. So that gets cancels off for equilibrium. Or in other words, we can say that Px equal to Px into that area of the face equal to Px plus dx into area of the face. Similarly, Py into area of the bottom face equal to Py plus dy into area of the upper face. No, that is not correct. Why? Because only along y direction there is another force acting, that is weight. Okay, so x sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fz equal to 0, we have seen. While we take sigma fy equal to 0, that is net force along y direction equal to 0, in addition to the pressure force acting on bottom as well as top faces, you have to take into account the weight of the fluid element that is vertically acting downward. Okay, that is clear. So this is regarding the analysis of the fluid element. We will discuss more on this while we define the Pascal's law as well as hydrostatic equations. So for the time being, you understand like this. One is body force, other one is of course the pressure. The body force is weight and the pressure is the normal force, and you have taken a tetrahedron fluid element for the analysis. Now we will discuss a very important law governing the fluid at rest. I think you might have studied in elementary physics in class 2. That is Pascal's law. So what is Pascal's law? Intensity of pressure is same in all directions. So it is a direction independent property. Which one? Pressure. That is, pressure is a scalar quantity. If you take this, 3 directions we have x, y and z, you know. So the pressure, net pressure is same in all directions. The previous figure is shown once again here. The net pressure is same in all directions. So you have px right direction and px plus dx in the left hand side direction. You take net pressure along x direction, that is equal to the net pressure along y direction, that is equal to net pressure along z direction. So that is fluid statics. So again we are simplifying our analysis. We are taking a 2D fluid element, triangular in nature. This is for better understanding. I have taken this. You see this? What is net pressure on x-axis? That is px. So what is shown there? Px dy is what? It is the pressure force. Pressure force is pressure into area. So it is a 2D element. This length is the only area. Here what is the force here? Py into dx. What is the force here? Ps into ds. Okay, because the area length perpendicular to the screen is unity, that is shown there, dy into 1 or d is s into 1, etc. So here net pressure force on x-axis is px, that is equal to net pressure force on y-axis, that is equal to net pressure force on another axis, say z or s. So px equal to py equal to pz. Again we are simplifying the analysis. We are referring to an infinitesimally small fluid element. So here, please listen. Here we have taken a three-dimensional tetrahedral fluid element. We have simplified into a 2D triangular fluid element. Again we have simplified into a point. That fluid element is a point. So what is the pressure acting on the fluid, on that particular fluid element, which is a point P, that is deep inside the water? That P is same in all directions. Sometimes we can take Px, Py, Pz, etc. So but it is same, that is P is same in all directions. So that is a major property of pressure that is dictated by the Pascal's law. So we are using this application of Pascal's law in variety of conditions in our day-to-day practice. The best example, I think you might have seen, hydraulic lift. So what is happening hydraulic lift? That is for lifting automobiles, heavier objects such as cars, etc. What is happening? You might have visited any of the workstations. What is happening there? You are applying a small force on a smaller diameter oil section. So that pressure is being distributed in all directions, and that enables us to lift a bigger or a heavier object, that is keeping its position on a larger diameter oil section. Okay, so that is a major application of Pascal's law, hydraulic lift. Everything you might have studied in +2. And now we move on to another section in fluid statics that is very important. So far we have seen what is a fluid element and how analysis is happening in a fluid element in terms of its pressure values, and also we have seen the pressure is same in all directions irrespective of its directions. Okay, and now how to estimate the pressure force, that is normal compressive force pressure into that area of the phase. So remember one thing, in a flowing fluid, in a viscous fluid, the major force we have taken into analysis was shear force. Here the major force that we are taking into analysis, pressure force, or force due to the normal pressure, force due to pressure. And now we will see the hydrostatic equation. So what does the name implicate? Hydrostatic. It means an equation governing any stationary fluid. Okay, we are extending our analysis of fluid element. So this is the fluid element we have taken into analysis, taken for the analysis. You see this? Okay. So you have the y direction in the vertical, x direction horizontal, and z in the other direction. As I have told in the previous slides, the net force on x as well as z directions cancels off. That is written over here. The forces on four sides of the fluid element cancels. Why? That particular fluid element has got 6 faces. On an x-axis, along the x-axis it has 2 faces, left as well as right. Okay, along the z-axis it has got 2 faces, back face and front face. Along the y-axis it has 2 faces, that is bottom face and top face. So except the pressure force on or except the force on the top as well as bottom faces, that means along y direction, all the other forces gets cancels off due to equilibrium, that is sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fz equal to 0. As I have already stated, along y direction, in addition to the pressure forces which are acting on top as well as bottom faces, you have to take into account the weight of the elementary fluid element. It's a fluid element. So what is the weight? It is represented there as dw. Okay. Then this y direction distance or thickness of that element is dy. So what is the pressure acting in the bottom face? P into A, where A is the area of the face, bottom area of the face. So what is the pressure on the top? P plus an incremental distance, that is P plus dP into area of the face, that is a force due to pressure P plus dP on the top surface. And now we are going for the analysis. We are going to estimate the pressure in terms of head or height. See, what is the net pressure in the upward direction? Okay, you take upward as positive, upward y-axis positive, we get PA, it is written over here, minus P plus dP into dA. That is the net pressure force in the upward direction, that is equal to dP into dA. Okay, and now here weight of the element in the downward direction. You see, what is the weight of the downward direction? dW. How to estimate the weight? Weight is m into g. Okay, m is what? Mass is density into volume. So rho into volume of the fluid element is g. What is the volume of the fluid element? We designate it as dV. So dm into g, mass into g, or rho dV into g. So how to get dV volume? It is area into, that is dA into this thickness, that is dy. So rho dA dy g. Why it is negative? That means it is acting in the downward direction. Okay, it is acting in the downward direction. So for the equilibrium, the two forces must be equal. So if you are equating dP dA with minus rho dA dy g, you are getting dP by dy equal to minus rho g. That means what? What is dP by dy? Change in pressure with respect to y direction. That means pressure gradient. So we have seen velocity gradient, that is du by dy. So dP by dy is the pressure gradient. So what about the change in pressure with respect to distance? That is equal to minus rho g. Okay, that is equal to minus rho g. So if you take any fluid, this velocity gradient depends on what? Its density. Sorry, the pressure gradient in any direction that depends on the density. Okay, then that is negative. Why it is negative? What does it mean? That means as we are moving down, as we are moving in the negative direction of y-axis, pressure increases. You know, or as we are moving in the negative direction of y-axis, dP by dy is positive. If we are moving in the positive direction of y-axis, that is up, what happens? dP by dy is negative. That means what? Pressure increases in the downward direction. That is what? dP by dy equal to, just see, dP by dy equal to minus rho into g. That means what? Pressure increases in the downward direction. So increase in pressure P in the downward direction of y, that is dP by dy equal to minus rho g. So for better understanding, if we consider a situation, a condition like this is a vessel that contains water, okay, up to a height h plus y2. Okay, if we're taking this bottom of this vessel as datum, the total height of water is h plus y2. So if you take a point A here, which is at a distance, vertical distance y2 from the bottom surface, another point B here, which is at a distance small y1 from the bottom surface, and the vertical distance between A and B is h1, as shown here, h1 equal to y1 minus y2. You take another point C here, which is on the surface of the fluid, that is subjected to atmospheric pressure PA. Is it clear? So pressure at A is P2, pressure at B is P1, pressure at C is PA, that is atmospheric. And now we are integrating the previous equation, that is integral dP by dy equal to integral minus rho g. And if you are applying limits 1 to 2, okay, so 1 corresponds to B and 2 corresponds to A. So what does it mean? Integral 1 to 2 dP is equal to integral 1 to 2 minus dy rho g. Okay, so P2 minus P1 will give you what? Minus rho g into y2 minus y1, or rho g into y1 minus y2, or you get P2 minus P1 equal to rho g h1. You see this? What is h1 here? Rho g h1. P2 minus P1 means pressure difference between A and B. Okay, pressure difference between A and B is equal to rho into g into h1. h1 means the vertical height difference between the 2 points. Then if you are applying the same equation to point A and point C, so pressure difference between A and C, that is P2 minus PA, that is equal to the vertical height difference between A and C. What is the vertical height difference between A and C? H. So P2 minus PA equal to rho g h. So this equation is very important. P2 minus PA is equal to rho g h. That equation is very important. So here you see this, how to estimate the pressure at any point of pressure of any element in a fluid. The only thing is it is above, its value is above atmosphere by a value. What is this value? Rho g h. What is h? It is a vertical height difference of that particular point from the top of the surface. So we do like this. P is equal to rho gh. That P represents what? Pressure with difference with respect to atmosphere, rho gh. And now that means there is a direct relation between pressure and depth. You know, that is P equal to rho gh is directly proportional to h. So it has got its own application in fluid dynamics. In engineering practice, you see this applications of hydrostatic principle. Water pressure in dams. You know, this is the top surface of the dam. It is the bottom of the dam. So as per this principle, as we move down, pressure should increase. P is directly proportional to h. Rho is the density of the water. So P equal to rho gh. As we are moving down, you see this pressure is increasing. This is the pressure representation. Pressure increases and it is maximum at the bottom side. If this is h, the bottommost pressure is P equal to rho gh. That is the estimation of pressure in reservoirs. We take another example for your better understanding. This is a vessel that contains any fluid, maybe water. It has got three openings, one at the top, one at the bottom, one at somewhere around here at the middle. So what about the pressure at different points? Pressure here will be due to the entire column of this liquid. This is H, this entire column of liquid will be acting pressure here. What about the pressure in the middle? Due to this height or this column of liquid only. Here due to very small column of liquid. So pressure is maximum here, minimum here among the three locations, and medium here also. So since pressure is highest here, the issuing jet will be strongest, having highest velocity. Here it is having weakest jet here. So it will enable us, this estimation, that is hydrostatic equation, enable us to find out the velocity of water that is coming out of a vessel from different locations along the height side of the vessel. Here's another example, that is pressure manometer. It is used for the measurement that we will discuss later. So what is happening here? Here you see there is a pipe. This is the pipe B, and we are trying to estimate the pressure in the pipe. For this we are fitting a U-tube manometer, a bent U-tube. Okay, so one limb is connected to here, another limb is open to atmosphere. This pressure at A will be due to what? Rho g H2. Okay, rho g H2 column of this liquid. Here pressure at A is due to what? This rho g H1, that is pressure due to this column of water, plus pressure of B. So this analysis or this hydrostatic equation, that is P is directly proportional to H, P equal to rho g H. What is rho g actually? Density in G, that is specific weight. So P is, sometimes it is designated as W. P is equal to W into H is very important for us while discussing fluid statics. So we will discuss more on U-tube manometer in the later sections. Thank you.